Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is JoJo. I tend to talk too much, specifically about seasonal anime. And speaking of which, we are here today to talk about the first episode of Wave, Listen to Me, titled I'll Never Forgive You. Before we get to the video proper though, I do want to let you guys know that if you would like to have your name shouted out in next week's Wave, Listen to Me video, then be sure to share this video around on the internet, and then tag me at JoJo Talks Too Much over on Twitter, and I'll be sure to shout your name out in next week's video. Okay, so Wave Listen to Me was a show that was on my radar pretty much from the jump. As soon as I looked at the spring season, Wave stood out as one of the shows that I would want to be keeping my eye on. Now, that's not just because it's seinen, because I feel like we don't get enough seinen, and that's not just because it was from Sunrise, which I thought was interesting, but also the fact that it's about radio, because little known fact, I was gonna go into radio when I was a kid. My parents wanted me to go into radio when I was a kid because they were like, you be good in radio, and friends of mine were like, you got a radio voice. I didn't go into radio, but I still, sit down in a room and talk into a microphone, so, I can kind of relate to the characters in Wave, and I kind of am doing radio, I guess, but I don't think I could be nearly as energetic and as fun to watch on screen as Minare Koda, because this show, without Minare, would not be worth watching. This character is so fantastic. Well, I shouldn't say that the show itself wouldn't be worth watching, because it's still a very absurd and yet very grounded show. It's weird. It's one of the I have a feeling, and I could be talking out my ass, but I have a feeling that Wave could be my anime of the season, just based off this first episode, because I was so everything about this was a show that I could just tell was made for me, and it all comes down to the fact that Minare is fantastic. This character had to be an absolute queen in order for this to work. And when I say queen, I don't mean like prissy and prim and proper. I mean just like somebody who you're like, yes, I want to watch this character complain. I want to watch this character give advice and rant and rave on the mic. I want to see them be energetic and yet at the same time be very raw and real, because that's what the show is calling for. And she is without a doubt the heart of the show. And it's funny because Riho Sugiyama, her seiyuu, is relatively unknown. I think the only thing that I've heard from her, at least for me, is I know her as, it's not even like I knew her. Like I was like, oh, well, she's from blah, blah, blah. No. She was a character in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 5, but it's not like she was Trish or anything. She's the character on the train that a certain character bumps into. I'm not even gonna say any more than that, but if you remember like the angry woman on the train that a certain member of a certain assassin guild bumps into, yeah, that's her. And that's the only thing I know her from. And yet at the same time, it kind of makes sense because that girl was ranting and raving, and that's what Minare Koda is here to do. This character is basically here to rant and rave, and her design, her personality, her seiyuu choice, everything about this character is perfect. She feels insanely human, and yet at the same time is an absolute 10 out of 10 waifu candidate, because she is absolutely fantastic. And I realized that all my waifus could probably drink me out of the table. I bet they could outdrink me at a bar and still probably get another round while I'm just passed out on the bar, like on a bar stool somewhere. I would totally go drinking with Minare, like 100%. She just seems rad. And it's funny too, because her personality, right? Like let's taking her personality out, right? Because normally what I do here on the channel, if you're new, is I'll do these sort of like color theory, color time, like go into a character's design and talk about what the color choices for that character could mean, what the aesthetic of the color of the character design is trying to tell us about that character without their personality really getting to shine, as it normally doesn't really get the chance to in a first episode. You don't gotta worry about that here. You know everything you need to know about Minare, from her opening scene with the bear, which I'll get to in just a sec, but also the fact that she confuses Ghost Ship, that movie Ghost Ship, with the movie Ghost with Demi Moore and my boy Patrick Swayze. And that's the other thing too, is that like, we'll get there, but like just like these little things, right? The fact that like you know enough about her already, the fact that even when she gets blackout drunk, she still takes decent care of herself. Like she puts her shoes like away, like where they're supposed to go. She's like drinking water in the morning. She's taking care of herself. Like, you know, she's relatively well put together, but is to an extent a little bit self-destructive. And not to say like that you're not allowed to go out on the town, but you know what I'm saying. She's fantastic. But even if you took away the personality, right? What does her design tell you? She is basically a 20-something who's not sure what it is that they're supposed to do. And being a 20-something who's not sure what it is that I'm supposed to do, it feels hella relatable. Honestly, Minare is probably one of the most relatable characters I've seen in a while. Even the fact that her outfit is like she's a server at a restaurant, right? Like she's clad in her work outfit when she storms into the radio station. That's the outfit we see her in for a majority of the episode's runtime. That tells you a lot. The fact that she's working some part-time job as a server. She's her boyfriend was an asshole and broke up with her and stole a bunch of money from her. She goes out and gets drunk with random strangers and tells her story and just like rants and raves about the problems in her life. And she's relatable. She's hella relatable, and the show is so much better for it. However, like I said, even if Minare was not the focus, if, like, say, it was focused on Mato, the director of the radio show, it would still be really good. Because the thing about the show is that this show is absurd. It's completely friggin' ridiculous. And the thing, too, is the creator, Hiroaki Samura, is a creator whose work I'm not terribly familiar with. The only show I have seen that is based off their material was the most recent anime adaptation for Blade of the Immortal, which was not really my thing. It really kind of wasn't made for me, whereas this feels like it was specifically made for me. And it's just interesting that Samura would go from something as sort of like, still sort of like realistic, I guess, even though there's like demons, but it's a sort of like gritty sort of manga about like a samurai dude, like, to a show about a girl in a radio station. It really speaks volumes to the man's capabilities. The fact that he's able to write two pretty solid mangas, because again, Blade of the Immortal wasn't for me, but it was still a cool looking show. And I assume the manga's good because everybody's always talking about how the anime adaptations of it aren't that great. But the manga's really good, I hear. And for him to go from that to this and have both be good, that's impressive shit to me. And at the same time, even though it's a grounded story, the way we open the show with the friggin' bear, that was like, the scene with the bear was where I knew this was potentially anime of the season contender, because it just felt totally made for me. The fight with the bear is not real. Because for a second I'm like, what is she talking about? Does she have like an earpiece? How is she doing her radio show? There's no mic, there's no nothing. And then we still see her in the woods for a second, but you see her at the table. Like, you see her at the mic, sitting at the table, but she's still in the forest, and then it cuts and it's her in the recording booth, and you're like, oh, okay, so they're faking this. Neat. And you actually, like, the other thing I love too is that you see them at the board, like, mixing the audio live, because it's a radio show, so they have to mix it live, and they're doing their best, and it's cool to see. And they almost make it sort of shonen-y, where it's like them like doing these big sweeping motions with the soundboard, and her and Minare like really giving it her all, both like in the booth and also during the fight with the bear. And it's just so friggin' weird, and yet at the same time so absolutely brilliant. I just friggin' I love this. And like the fact that the ranting from Minare is fused with the fantasy of the bear just makes for this amazing cold open, because she tuckers herself right the hell out, right? She's screaming, ranting and raving about these ridiculous questions that she has submitted, and like these people asking for her advice, and it's just the weirdest friggin' things. And she just is ranting and raving about how these people are crazy and they don't know what they're doing, but then it eventually devolves into her saying that she's crazy and that she doesn't know what she's doing either. And it's kind of perfect for radio. That's the type of person I would want to listen to and want to ask for advice from, because they also don't know what the hell they're doing. So, I don't know, it's just like, that's the kind of, like, and I'm sure some people would be like, wouldn't you want like a professional's opinion? Not if I'm listening to a friggin' radio show. I want to hear from somebody who's like-minded like me, to get an idea of what maybe I should do based off somebody similar. And that's, I think, the idea that they're going for with this show, that Minare is so entertaining because she's so just sort of like your average 20-something who's feeling sort of aimless and lost. And it's perfect. And even like the dry yet over the top in a way humor perfectly complements the sort of aimless but you're still trying to have fun kind of vibe. Because that's the sort of vibe I'm getting, even from characters like Mato, who I do definitely want to see more from. And ironically enough, speaking of JoJo, he plays, he is the seiyuu for my favorite character from, well, not my favorite character, but my favorite assassin from Part 5, Risotto. And even he's a character who sort of, even though I believe they say he's 49, he seems to have him, like, he's more put together, but he's still sort of like wandering. Like, he's just sort of like follows Minare around from bar to bar, I gather, while she's on like her drunken ranting and raving. So it's not even like he really is totally put together. And the show just feels, I don't know, there's something about this odd, dry yet over the top sense of humor mixed with this absurd and like totally goofy sort of attitude that just has me completely engaged. I cannot wait to see where this is gonna go. I adored every second of this. And I better see the fight with the bear end up on Sakugaboru, because I want to watch it again and again and again, because it was freaking awesome. With that said, everybody, I'm going to wrap up my thoughts on the episode here. This is fantastic. Please, if you have not seen Wave Listen to Me, do me a favor and listen to me and watch Wave Listen to Me, okay? And that's gonna do it for today's video, everybody. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, then by all means hitting that like button and leaving a comment down below is a great way to help out this channel, as it pleases the almighty YouTube algorithm. So if you choose to do so, kudos to you. And if you're feeling extra supportive today, you can go ahead and check out all the links in the description. One goes to my Twitter, another one is to our Discord server, another one to our merch store if you feel like grabbing yourself a mug, and of course, our Patreon page. And speaking of the Patreon page, I do want to give a big thank you to those of you in the T Squadron who support this channel month to month. Let's go ahead and do the Earl Grey shoutouts. Izevi, Andrew W, Branson C, Calvin A, Crowbar of Irony, Daniel G, Digger the Fox, Dominic G, Emily, Ionos, Urza, Ginkotaku, Godzilla Fan, No For Nothing, Maria T, Marshall B, Mater, Mirth Mouser, Cell, Shadow Creative, Stephen G, Sakochi, The Suavest Orange, Tristan G, and Verdon. Thanks so much for your continued support over on Patreon, everybody, and if you too would like to join the T Squadron, then be sure to check out the first link in the description to check out our Patreon page. That is a huge way to support the channel. And again, be sure to check out the other stuff in the Discord as well. Go join our Discord. It is now public. You can all join. Everybody can hop in the Discord. Follow me on Twitter if you want me to ramble at you even more. And until next time, you stay classy, AnyTube, and wash your dang hands.